Editor Robert Peston is there. Robert, this is big stuff politically as well as financially.
It is, Jane. I mean, I can't remember in all my years of covering budgets and pre-budget reports an event as important as this one. I mean, you know, overnight we had the US government bailing out Citigroup, one of the biggest banks in the world, one of the biggest banking rescues really of all time. And yet it isn't creating headlines over here because the decisions that the Chancellor is going to announce this morning are so momentous. We have an economy which most people think is already in recession. We have public borrowing reaching levels that we haven't seen in a single year since the Second World War. This is, you know, a huge moment. I'm here with Richard Lambert, the Director General of the CBI. Richard Lambert, tell us, how would you gauge the mood of your members this morning?
Well, I think the great issue now is business and consumer confidence, and that's taken a real battering in the last few months, and so people are uneasy, anxious, they're worried about cash flow, they're worried about availability of finance. It's a sort of uneasy time.
You've done a survey of attitudes and the experience of both big business and small business. How much of a problem for business at the moment is access to credit? How much difficulty are they having raising the finance to keep going?
Well, it is their problem at the moment, and our survey showed that in the last month or two things have got tougher. People are finding it harder. Even people who've got sort of good relationship with their banks are finding it harder to gain access to credit, and that more than anything else is the anxiety on our members' minds right now.
Now, we know that the government will announce a big stimulus to the economy, or what it hopes, let's say, will be a big stimulus to the economy, a package of tax cuts and also conceivably a significant increase in the short term in public spending. What is the mechanism between that kind of package and what would help business?
Well, I think what business needs and what it's looking for in this package is something that will have an immediate impact on the economy. In normal circumstances, you wouldn't be arguing for a fiscal boost because, as you say, the public debt is shooting ahead and public borrowing is enormous. But right now, I think there's a strong feeling that because the economy is slowing so quickly, it would be a good idea to have a one-off hit, which would have an immediate impact on the economy that would be time-limited, so it wouldn't be an unconscionable burden on future generations. But there is a case for doing something straight off.
Now, we also know that there is, in a sense, a structural hole in the public finances. This is, in a sense, two budgets in one. We're going to get tax cuts immediately, but then he's also going to announce, the Chancellor, tax rises, public spending cuts in years to come. It's a very difficult message for any government to get out. Do you think that there's also a risk that if he talks about future tax rises, that'll actually deter people from making the investments or perhaps from spending in a way that will give the economy the kind of boost that your members want?
Well, he has a dilemma. If he doesn't talk about those things, people will think this is just unfunded, hopeless, sort of shooting off the planet and getting into a position from which long-term interest rates can only rise, and that would make everything much more complex. So he has to give some kind of credible route map back to over a period of years to a time in which the public finances are sustainable, which they're not going to be over the next year or two. So he has, on the one hand, not to scare us all into putting our hands in our pockets and shutting our eyes for 2 years. On the other hand, he has to persuade the markets that he is not being completely reckless with the public finances.
Now, you're a former editor of the Financial Times. You've been looking at these sorts of things over many years.